Okay. Hey, hey, hey. We're back. We're black. We're brown. Ambition. Ambition.
Ambition,
Ambition.
ambition,
Ambition.
ambition,
Ambition. Mandy, I
ambition.
felt like I lost my voice 5 years ago and never got it back.
Well, that little scratchy scratch, that little grit, you know what I mean? I love it. It makes
Wow.
you you. It
I'm
probably
glad.
makes people, unfortunately, take you more seriously and me not seriously at all.
Well, you have a
Because
better voice. I'm like, "Brad." I'm like, damn, I can't hit no high notes, nothing.
once again, your decision to sing the song, it's been 9 years. What? We're the boss. But we love it. I love my favorite thing is seeing the guest's face when they're like, "Yeah, she's singing." It's
It's happening. I know. They're like, oh, y'all sing? I'm like, yes, we do. Not well, but we do have a guest. We're extra black in the stew today.
yeah.
We have a brother in the stew. And yeah, I met Brandon some years ago. Brandon Copeland, aka Cope, if you guys are football fans. He's he used to
Professor
play.
Cope.
Yeah, so many things. So Mandy's gonna do his bio, but yeah, I can't wait to talk to someone who's had so many different careers.
Yeah. All right, BA fam. So we have some company. As we said, company is in the house. Everybody be on your best behavior. We're going to welcome in our company. Brandon Copeland, Professor Cope, is a 10-year NFL veteran. Are you our first NFL player on the show? I'm trying to think.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
We're,
nice.
Brown Ambition, not our target demo. But but we love having you on the show. We're not gonna like talk about sports, are we? We're just gonna like keep it money. Okay, great. Cool. Professor Cope is a 10-year NFL veteran, the author of the new book, Your Money Playbook, and the co-founder of athletes.org, which is the Player Association for College Athletes. He's also a member of the esteemed CNBC Global Financial Wellness Council, and he's been dedicated to financial education as well as being the first NFL player to double as an Ivy League professor at no biggie, like UPenn. It's fine. University of Pennsylvania. Professor Cope, rather, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I
Yeah.
love the music intro. I will say, we were down in Florida. We're down near the storm, and so my wife and I were supposed to go to the Usher concert, and it got canceled because of the storm.
Yeah.
Obviously safety first, but I've been around the house practicing my high notes over there. So once y'all started, I was about to join
Right, like,
in,
you should
but
have.
I didn't
Right,
want to.
right.
I didn't want to
You don't
ruin,
show me out. You
the
know what I'm saying?
moment.
It's okay. You just, right, that. Oh, dang. Yeah, the Usher
See?
concert. I've seen Usher in concert. He's excellent. So
Girl.
hopefully you guys will get a chance.
See, that's that third kid energy. Like, yeah, we just had a baby, but let's go see Usher. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine.
Yes, we just found out that Cope just had his third, only 1 month old. So, boy, it was a boy, right? It's a boy.
Yep, baby
Yeah,
boy, 3 boys.
congratulations.
Wow.
I was trying to get that girl. But hey, it is
Oh, I
what it is.
thought you
With the
had
boys,
girls. Okay, they're all boys.
all boys. I love the boys. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Growing up, that was the dream come true. But then after 2 of them, you start to realize, like, hey, y'all go to y'all mom a lot. Y'all not gonna take care of me, huh? Y'all. If I need somebody to look after me when I get older, I'm like, oh. So anyway, but I know wifey, she'll be taken care of. She's gonna have a
Oh yeah,
security
for
team
sure. But yeah,
for the rest of
girls,
her
what?
life.
My dad is set for life. He's like, I don't lift a finger with 5 girls. Right? Boys be like, who's that?
Right.
That guy.
Oh no, I'm raising my boys different. They're going to be caregivers. They're going to love to just give and be generous. All right, but Professor Cope, you left the NFL. What would you decide? A little over a year ago.
Yep.
And what was that transition like? How's it been?
Transition, the transition was. I mean, for most people, they talk about how tough the transition is, and I am no different. The transition is tough. It's different. Not playing a sport that I've played, I've built my foundation off of, my life off of, my schedule around, my livelihood around for the last 24 years of my life. Right. I started playing football in 4th grade just to, one, get a lot of energy out. 2, my grandfather played 11 years in the NFL as well too. So he was my hero, and, how do I continue to make him proud, so to speak? But to have that part of your identity, regardless of what you're doing off the field, it's a challenge. It's a change. I didn't shrink when I left the NFL. So, people still be like, hey, you play for somebody? not anymore, not anymore, right? So every time that wound opens, but I think, the biggest thing for me was, one, talking to a lot of folks who, in my eyes, have successfully made the transition about, hey, what's next? How do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? How do you set a schedule now? How do you start to understand what's for you and what's not for you? Because as an NFL player, there's a lot of things that you can take on because it's fun to do in your free time. Right now, it's different. Everything that you choose to do is needs to be taken extremely seriously, right? But with your time, and also things that a lot of folks don't necessarily think about or consider. I've always been extremely present. My family has always stayed with me when I'm doing, going city to city or team to team. But there is a certain amount of reconnection that you have to do with your family as well in order to really be able to sit down, spend time, be present. Because for 10 years of my life, everything was about me. When I came into the NFL, my agent and the veterans in the locker room said, Cope, in order to make it here and stay here, you got to be selfish. You can't spend time wasting energy thinking about other people's problems. You got to focus on making the team and sticking here. And everybody will thank you because of it. Now you get out of the NFL and now you got to go back and pour back into everyone else who's sacrificed in order for you to have the time, the freedom of mind to be able to be successful in the NFL for so long. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really
And like
good...
marriages last. You get that,
Yeah.
you get that kind of pep talk.
What?
And
Okay.
I'm like, as a wife, I'm like, that's huge. But I understand it. It's like also it's a give and take. It's very rare to have that like perfect 50-50 partnership. So thanks for being transparent about that, because I love that they were like, it was no bullshit. It's just like, yeah, this is how it's going to be. So a year in, what does a successful transition? What were you hoping for and envisioning? And like, did you start that transition even before you left? Because I mean, you've got a book that doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah,
Right?
it definitely doesn't happen overnight. I think for me, I was always prepared for the day football ended. When I came into the NFL, I got fired like 5 times in my first season in the NFL. So
What?
I always knew I went to UPenn, and in the spring, when 2013 they had the draft, and the Baltimore Ravens didn't call me during the draft, they called me right after, and they signed me to an undrafted free agency deal. 3 years, $1.45 million contract. So I'm sitting there on a college campus, and to most people, I'm a millionaire. I've made it, right? I fortunately understood the path my grandfather took, and so I knew that the work was just beginning. But I only saw 24,000 of those dollars before being fired for the first time. And so for me, everything was like, oh, you could take all of this away. So I need to make sure that I'm hoarding money and saving as much as possible. And then eventually let me take that and put it into things that make me money. But that also meant that I know that this platform will be taken away from me at some point. So how do I go out and connect with people and try different things and meet different mentors that I can leverage as I transition from the game? And I think a successful transition, obviously everybody's version looks different depending on their life. But for me, it was one, getting over football, right? And what I mean when I say that, you know, um, depending on how you leave the game will determine how you look at the game for the rest of your life. I fortunately got everything that I could have gotten out of football in my 10 years. I started with my hometown team in Baltimore. I got fired from them and went to 5 other teams. And I came back to them 10 years later and finished my career in Baltimore with the Ravens. And my goal coming in was for my kids to see me play and for me to be able to make more money off the field than on the field. Boom. Did it, done it, happy, proud of myself. But to be able to walk away like that and not walk away with, hey, you're not good enough, kid, or get out of here or whatever, right? That can make me look at the game for the rest of my life through like scarred eyes. And frankly, I realized in my first few games, I'm a competitor, which to be a competitor, you got to kind of be a hater, right? I'm going to call a spade a spade. So when I'm looking at the game, I'm kind of like, man, I could do that for $1 million. I could do that. Right. And I didn't want that negative lens to affect my children's love of the game, because the game is also provided so much for me. And so for me, it was forgive and let go of hating football, to reconnecting with my kids and getting to know them better. Because as you all know, kids are different. You think you can treat them all the same? No, you can't. They ain't, they different. And then also starting to explore what things I was truly interested in professionally beyond the game was the most important. Making sure that I'm sticking true to the goals I set up for myself going into the NFL is like, when I leave, my goal is to do what I want to do whenever I want to do it, period. And that's in work, that's in business, that's with family. And so making sure that I'm really identifying what those things actually are.
So how far into your NFL career did you start as an Ivy League professor at UPenn? So that's the school you went to. That was your undergrad.
Yeah.
So how did that happen?
Yeah, so that was a number of experiences. A number of those experiences actually helped develop your Money Playbook. They also helped develop just my own mindset for like, how do we scale financial education? But I started teaching in 2019, spring of 2019. So that was 6 years, my sixth year in the NFL. I was with the New York Jets at the time. So fortunately, I was able to make a drive back and forth to Philly in the off seasons. So I'd literally be in OTAs, spring training. And then on Mondays, I'd be going over to Philly at night and teaching a 3-hour lecture to, at that time, 30 students. Now we have 120 students each
What did you
semester.
teach?
So the course is called Life 101. It is all the money decisions we make in life that we don't talk about in school for some reason,
dang.
right?
Well,
So
that
how to
sounds
buy a
essential.
house, how to buy a car, that 3-digit credit score. Well, how is it not perfect? I feel like I never messed up. I never missed a bill, right? Like all the things that we actually deal with in life, instead of us talking about the tangent of a 45-degree angle or, hey, compound interest is great. Instead of us worry about the formula, let's just figure out what it is and how do we use it for our lives. And so there were a number of experiences that I had in the league. My rookie year, 2013, the NFLPA, the National Football League's Players Association, our association, came and taught us about this thing called a 401k. And hey, if you are playing with this team long enough, you will put money into this thing and they'll put money into this thing. And I'm like, dang, that sounds like free money.
I didn't know they had a 401k in the NFL, but
yeah, they got some great benefits in the NFL. But
yeah.
I also had to realize, like, all right, if I don't make this team, if I don't make this tackle at practice, none of this matters. I mean, again, I was fired a few times. So I was like, let me put this in the back of my brain. But I'm like, I had to make it to the NFL to learn what a 401k is. Like, who is going to teach my mom this? Who's going to teach my brother this, right? And then later on, fast forward in 2018, my wife and I, we bought our first townhouse. Now it's a rental in New Jersey. And she called me. I was in Detroit with the Lions, went back to see the home inspection and all that type of stuff on our bye week. And then now we're closing. It's December 2016. I'm sitting in my locker room and they emailed me the closing package. She's actually at the realtor's office and about to sign on the dotted line. And she's like, hey, babe, hey, does everything look right? I'm supposed to be the Wharton Business School guy. I've interned on Wall Street at hedge fund. I'm looking, and it's 106 pages of closing disclosures. I'm like,
how are you looking at it?
idea.
Not there. That's a huge stack of paper.
Oh no, I know, but I'm sitting literally in my locker on my phone, open up the PDF, and I'm just scrolling through. I'm like,
zooming in.
Yeah,
that exhibit. It's like, exactly. Jesus, yeah.
But I'm like, I have no idea whether this thing is right or not. And I'm about to sign over 30 years of my life. And instead of us talking about this in school, which we all want to do at some point, whether it's rent or own, we all want to have shelter. We were talking about things that I will never use in my life again. And so all those things made me decide, let's start a course for people, use the platform of the NFL, and then let's also figure out how to scale it. And so now we have high school kids who take it and get credit and things of that nature. And we're continuing to build it out.
That's amazing. Tiffany, that's like kindred spirits over here, right? With your curriculum in Jersey.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Because, I mean, to do both at the same time, I can't even imagine the amount of work that took. But I'm sure because you developed these kind of like interests off the field, it helped with the transition. So it wasn't like you just transitioned to nothing. It was like, well, I was already teaching, and I know you have a nonprofit organization, right?
Yep. Yeah. So my wife and I, we have one, like you said, I guess before I even go to that, I always try to make sure I speak in we and our a lot, because I've been very blessed to have an amazing team. amazing people who believe in the mission, believe in the vision of what we're trying to do, whether it's with athletes.org or Beyond the Basics or Life 101, which is the course. And they pour into it and make me much better than I ever would be without them. So shout out to the team. I appreciate y'all. And on top of that, I think, my wife and I, we started a foundation, Beyond the Basics Inc. Our goal is to help young people realize their potential earlier, right? And the reason being, I'm not in the seat I'm in if I don't have a grandfather and a mother who take the blinders off of me and just expose me to where my ambition can take me, right? There's so many young people who are in neighborhoods that they only see the 4 blocks between their house and their school, and they don't see big cities and money and all these other things, where now if they had that ambition, they can see, whoa, hold up, I could do that over there. So our foundation, we do some amazing, unique, once in a lifetime experiences, and we also focus on helping take those blinders off of young people through exposure, through mentors and shadow opportunities. We have our one of our biggest event actually coming up for the holidays, which is December to Remember. We take kids around the country shopping for the holidays. All these kids, underserved, amazing young folks who come in to a Target or a Walmart thinking that they're going to do community service. And when they get there, they get to meet one of their favorite NFL players from the local team, but then they also get $200 that they can go and spend in the store. And the beautiful thing about it is most of them spend more money on other people than themselves.
Of
So
course.
it's been an amazing experience. We've been doing it for 8 years now, and just been fortunate again to have players around the league. One of the good things about being cut so much and going to 6 different teams, I guess, was you make a lot of friends around the league that want to continue to support the different initiatives as well. So
I was wondering about that because I think about the importance of, listen, I'm not even gonna try, Mandy, do not try to say anything about sports because you really don't know. But with a team, there's so many sports metaphors in business. I mean, people love a sports metaphor. So much of the language that we speak around money is like with the sports tinge to it, the team element and all of that. But when you're moving so frequently, what was it like being the new kid so many times, and what grounded you?
yeah, that is a phenomenal question. I think that for me, you have to hone in on who you are and what your identity is. Some of the greatest players talk about the fundamentals like of the sport. So, LeBron James is amazing. Obviously, he's God has put a little extra on it, right? He's you know what, you LeBron, right? But he also is like extremely consistent in all the details of what makes him great. His diet. The years ago, he was at a little high school game, and they were like, LeBron James got billions of dollars. He's a billionaire now, and he's eating, trail mix out of a Ziploc bag. Well, most people are like, oh, like he's trying to save money and not go to the concession stand. No, he's more so just protecting his health and his body, his biggest asset. He's focused on the fundamentals of what it takes for him to be great. For me, I was always focused on my standard being my standard. So when I go into any room, any locker room, one of the best pieces of advice was like, don't try to fit in with everybody. Stand out, be you. Right. And so whether I was on the Jets, the Baltimore Ravens, New England Patriots, the Falcons, whatever, it was, I'm
You played
Brandon
for the
Copeland.
Falcons?
Yes, I did play
I'm
for
from
the
Atlanta.
Falcons. We were. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Was it a good time, or let's not, or not?
I mean, the paychecks came in.
Those are some big.
Paychecks
You
came in.
weren't. I mean, I know you said you got fired, but it wasn't like you didn't get hired by some great teams.
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean, those
yeah.
are some incredible teams.
Yeah, no, I was like I said, I was fortunate. I mean, the average NFL, career is 2 years now, and
Whoa.
and I was fortunate to play for 10, and so yeah, by
Yeah.
by my own standards, when we went out there, I made mama proud. I made my wife proud. That they were proud of who I am and who I was. But yeah, it was not an easy feat at all. But as you mentioned, it's lock in on who I am, lock in on my fundamentals, and I go into my locker room and I'm going to make it better, right? And you have to drown out the noise. And you have to really know who you are, because what a lot of young players do, especially, and I was I wasn't above it, But what a lot of young players do is they become a chameleon to the locker room that they're in, right? You're 22 years old, 21, 22 years old. You're around money for the first time. You're around veterans who on paper you think that they're doing it the right way, some of which are, some of which aren't, right? And you start to take notes from the wrong people, and that can also, you know, lead to your derailment. So I've just been fortunate to be around the right people, take notes from the right folks, and just, you know, be strong enough to be who I am in every locker room, whether people liked it or not.
Now, you said that one of your biggest goals was to, as far as a transition and what success looked like, was to make more money out of the NFL than in it. So then you became a teacher. So I'm just like wondering.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you were a professor at an Ivy League school, but make it make sense. How's it going? What does that look like for you? What are your like income streams post, and or is it a work in progress? Like we get there, we go there on Brown Ambition.
Yeah, no, that's these are conversations we should be having. I think that, you know, what everyone needs to do. So when I took my first role at Penn, I was not paid $1. I was not paid a cent to
What?
be there and to show up. And they paid for my travel back and forth. I would go to Fort Lauderdale to train. I would fly back up in the off season, things of that nature. So they did that. But for me, I understood that the opportunity to take that and to leverage it into so many other ways, I'm a hustler. We're going to figure it out. And so I think that, you know, for the Brown Ambition audience, there's some times where there's things that aren't giving you the value that you think you deserve at that point in time, but you have to be smart enough to wring that towel out and get every ounce of value that you can out of it, on your own. So from that, for example, we've created partnerships with brokerage platforms and with education companies that have been able to pay me, been able to pay my team, been able to pay my production team, but also I've been able to get equity in those companies as well, right? We are now at the point where we're launching, like we launched financial literacy courses on college campuses now with partners like Robinhood, right? So I'm going to Howard next week. Actually, we're launching Money Drills, a financial literacy course on Howard's campus for all those for all of those students, which I'm extremely excited about as well too. So we've been able to leverage something to turn it into other things. So for me, the way I look at it is it's speaking, it's building courses, it's consulting. We help certain companies better basically make their employees more productive, because if their employees understand their finances better, then you can come in more productive. You can come in happier, as opposed to just being like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna keep the lights on 2 weeks from now, right? So that's one leg. I'm very big into real estate. We've done a show on Netflix, top 10 show. You know what I'm saying? Tiffany, I'm up there with Tiffany on the Netflix crew and everything like that. But it was called Buy My House. It was Shark Tank, but instead of people pitching businesses, they were pitching their homes to me, Pam Liebman, the CEO of the Corcoran Group, Glenn Kelman, the CEO of Redfin, and Denisha Wrightster, an amazing investor and entrepreneur out of Los Angeles. And so, you know, we've been able to leverage those things. You know, I had my own trailer. I'm like, ooh, hold up. Y'all done
When was that?
Gave me a trailer. Ooh. This was right before it launched the year after I was with the Falcons, but I remember shooting it right before going to training camp with the Falcons in 2021. But anyway, so we've done that. We do real estate as well too. So I started doing flips when I was in Detroit with the Lions, talking, you know, $32,000 auction properties, things you walk into. I got videos I'll show y'all one day if you're ever interested. Things you walk into, and my property manager like literally going through and just like hearing stuff moving and like, yeah, Cope, I love you, but F this, I'm out of here. And like getting out of the joint, right? Turning it around, putting in 40,000 into it and flipping it for 128, 137, and just doing that over and over and over again. And now we're at the point where, you know, we're doing multifamily buildings. We got a 88 unit in California. We got a couple affordable housing projects in Newark, New Jersey. Looking forward to those things coming online as well too. And then now we're also doing land development down in the Florida area, but also Texas as well too. So now you're talking tenants more so, you know, a couple 100 acres. You got other NFL players involved as well too. But now you got literally Target and Walmart competing for a spot. And I think we just accepted a LOI from Lowe's. You got Chase Bank, Starbucks, etc. So just kind of, I'll say for me, I've always been extremely curious. Kevin Hart says in his podcast, Heart to Heart, with an interview with Jay-Z, he always says, people will let him into the room, but then there'd be a door. And, they let him behind one door and then there'd be another door. And most people get excited about being in that room, right? And you just like, yeah, I'm here. I'm on Netflix. Yeah, but I'm kind of like, nah, like what's behind there? Like just and that curiosity for me also eventually leads to some action. And fortunately, our actions have been good thus far. So pray for your boy.
I know it sounds like a lot. I just had my team, my team meeting this morning, our 2-hour long, kind of like start strategic planning. And you look at all the stuff, you're like, are these all our projects? And so I understand the pray for your girl part.
Yeah.
So how did this lead to? So you're doing all of this, and somehow you managed to write a book.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about your book? Who is it for?
Yeah.
And how did you even find the time to get to it?
Yeah, so it started as we started the book, and I say we, again, my team, because like you said, you got to expand yourself. But we started the book 3 years ago now, and it was really started as 40 pages just for our class, because for every semester, with the curriculum for the course, the syllabus plus the assignments and the homework assignments, you're pointing them to other books. I'm pointing them to Everyday Millionaires and Rich Dad Poor Dad and this YouTube video and stuff like that. And eventually you get to the point where like, all right, well, I'm going to establish my own set of rules and standards here that are evergreen, that you all can use in your own lives. And go ahead, share with your friends, share with your family, etc. And so after the first semester of doing that, one of the things I was thinking was like, yo, this is cool, but I'm my biggest critic typically. This is cool, but is anybody walking away with something that they can actually like go sit down and build their actual plan with? Or are they walking away with a bunch of tips and a bunch of advice and what is a 401k and why it's important, which you can find anywhere, no offense, right? Like, but ultimately, are you actually giving me, okay, this is the play call. I'm gonna go football for a second. This is the play call. This is how you actually execute it. This is how you execute it in your life. For example, third child, third baby boy, we just set up his Roth IRA in about 6 minutes this morning, like fresh, hot off the presses, right? He already in my pocket. You know what I'm saying?
Baby belly button ain't fall off yet. He got an arm.
They all looking at me like, I can't wait to get out of here so we can get a bag. I'm like, no. Don't try to stay on my downfall.
They got to be on the payroll, right?
Yes, they are.
They
are on the
right.
payroll. They models. I get them in everything. I get them in every single thing. But but now taking that process that I did for that and also putting it into the playbook. So now you as an individual can take it and actually apply it to your life. And one of the best pieces of feedback I've gotten, well, it's been a couple of them, but one in particular, one of the guys, Danny Mack, who goes around with me sometimes, and he's shooting things and again making me look better than I am. One of the things he said, he was like, man, I tried to read your book, but it wasn't no easy read. This wasn't no sit down and like just nonchalantly read it. Like I had to break out my own notebook and like write out my goals and write out my plan and all this stuff. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I want. Like when you leave this thing, you leave it better. And I got a DM from a friend that I used to train with. He ran track and tried to make the Olympic team and unfortunately fell a little bit short. And one of the things he said, he was like, man, thanks for holding me accountable this morning. I had to go back and read the fourth quarter about blank to make sure I'm buttoning up this stuff for my legacy. He just had his second child as well too. So anyway, that to me is what was missing years ago. And so we went back, retooled it, and tried to make sure that every single time you go through a quarter, what we call a quarter, because of the football realms, you know what I'm saying?
Instead of
chapters we're going to I'm trying to make sure I'm bringing,
I got that.
25% of the game is the quarter.
Yeah, there we go.
I do know that.
We tried to make sure that you can walk away from that quarter with something that if you put in the work, you can actually go and apply to your life. You walk away with that playbook and that blueprint, which was important to me.
Who do you think the book is for?
Yeah.
Like, who's your ideal reader? Are they
Young
younger?
adult. Yeah,
Young adult.
young adults. I think
Oh,
I
that's
truly
amazing,
think
yeah.
that everybody can find something in it for sure, because I mean, I'm sure, as you both know, right, like financial education is not something that anybody has been formally taught for the most part, right? So like there's people in their 40s, 50s who just never had these lessons, right? And now, instead of them necessarily potentially using it for them, they may use it for their children or how they, engage with their children. But for me, it was originally as for young adults, that college age, that college graduate who's really like going out and really planning a strong financial life and a strong financial future.
Perfect. We get that question a lot, and I think it's not a one-size-fit-all answer, but talk to us. You mentioned the Roth IRA for your baby whose belly button still ain't falling off. I was like, I told my husband, you can catch it. I don't want to touch it. But like, talk about like if you were going to give parents of small children or any age child really some tips on setting them up for financial success, just from your personal experience, what would you say?
Yeah. And sorry, you talked about the belly button, and this is probably something my wife will kill me for. So baby,
That's fine.
I love you. And I also don't
You
know
don't
how
put it in a
graphic
jar and
we
keep
want to
it,
get
do
on
you?
this show.
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
we eat it. No.
It's like dehydrate it and pulverize it and wear it in a little necklace.
I will say this, and this is, maybe I'm naive, but my wife and I, we planned for our first child in terms of the pregnancy. We had a doula in there who's my wife's best friend. Shout out to Yadi, her best friend and the godmother of our first child. But nobody told me about a placenta bag. All right. So I know this. I'm not trying to get y'all in a different rating category and all that
No,
stuff.
just
So,
bring it.
Oh, let's go
hey,
there.
I'm just keeping it real.
Female anatomy, we do know about. Let's
Yeah,
go.
well, yeah, I'm sitting there. Baby boy start crying. The first one, Bryson is his name. 2019. He start crying, and then I ain't gonna lie, I started crying. I said, oh, snap, it got real. I got real responsibilities. Okay, and then they start pulling. So then I'm just like, what?
What else is in there?
What's going on? Oh, yeah, but
You better
nobody
love that
told me.
lady.
Nobody told me that was a part of the process, right?
Yes.
So anyway, that's just one thing for any of the fellas listening. If you going into that situation, just know that it's not over once the baby comes out.
You went south of the border, and I don't think a lot of men even do that. You know what I mean?
They only want to
Like,
look.
you put yourself in that position. Congratulations, you played yourself.
Men will literally pass out. You're like, come on now, we got to focus on this lady. You over here passing out.
Yeah,
no one told you. Yeah, well.
But yeah. So anyway, nobody told me. But your question. Well, I don't. Dang, I forgot your question. My bad.
About like new parent, like, so if you're a new parent or you have, because that does come up a lot. Like, I have a kid, or maybe my kid's a little older. What are some tips that you're like, oh, now you're on your third, and you're like you said, baby belly button ain't even fall off. You already got a Roth IRA for your child. Like, what are some things that you're like, oh, now that I'm third kid in, this is what I know my financial steps for this kid.
Yeah, so my plan for every child is I set them up with 4 accounts, right? And it may differ for whoever you are and all that type of stuff. But savings account, high yield savings account. It's number one thing I set up. As soon as I get the Social Security card, I go to Ally. You can go wherever you want. I'm not plugged by Ally. They don't pay me or nothing like that. I'm just telling you what I do. So don't sue me. Ally. 2, I set up an investment account, a brokerage account. Don't need my kids saving up a lot of money, especially not that young. I need their money working for them. 3, I set them up with a Roth IRA because although I battle in my head a lot about the Roth IRA is an amazing tool, tax-free growth and wealth, you know what I'm saying, that can be generated. I also, I'm putting away money, literally from my 1-month-old for when he's 59 and a half. And sometimes I'm like, hey, if he's in a bind at 33, obviously he can pull on some of that stuff. And the rules may change and differ, but it always, I'm always balancing between the regular investment account and the Roth IRA. And then finally a 529 account, 529 account to try to make sure that as they are continuing to grow and start to have more education expenses, now there's a pool of money that we can tap into specific for them. And so however you end up making it work, you know, that's what's worked for me. I do pay my kids from the business. You know, I don't hide from that. You see them promoting the book. They out there working. They out there. If you look on my
What
account,
does
they
that
out
look
there.
like?
You got to pay bills.
So does Bryson, is it Bryson LLC? And then you pay him? How does that work?
So they get paid as an independent contractor on from my company. So for them, they're models on my company. So I've had Bryson do TV shows with me. Actually, he's come on TV shows. Braylon, he'll do promo videos and things like that. Bryson is the oldest one. Braylon is the youngest one. Brendan, he's a little too young right now, but he's
Not
gonna
the
get in there.
bros.
Yeah.
Why'd you do that to yourself?
Because he's Brandon. You know how men do. He said,
"Oh, I
see." What's your wife's name?
Brandy.
Bruschetta. Nah, I'm joking.
No,
Bruschetta.
Yeah, nah, her name is Taylor. So I offer, I'm like, hey, you want a tea? You want to do something in there? But she's
then
like, nah,
I know for
good.
a fact you guys were like stumbling over your words in that house.
I was gonna say that because you know you get mad. Boy, you know what I'm talking to. Get over here and clean up this room.
Number 1, number 2, number 3. You gotta do that.
Yeah, I literally had that moment this weekend. I called my second, like, you know, 2 different names. And I'm feeling like I'm 60, and I'm like, why? I literally turned around, I'm like, damn, this is the rest of our lives. Right?
It sure is.
Yep.
So, question, Brandon. So that is that a custodial account, the investment account? Yeah.
Yep. All of them are custodial accounts, and yeah, again, when they do things to earn from the business, then they'll get paid directly from the business.
And you don't have to pay taxes if you keep it under a certain amount. I think it's like $12,000 or $13,000 for the year.
Yep.
Then, you know, they don't incur income tax because it's too low. So I do the same. So I have a stepdaughter. I give her, she does like social media for me because she's 18 now. Nice. But for the last, since she's been like 14 or 15, she does social media, and then I pay her whatever the max is for the 401k. Yep. Like this year is like $7,000.
And you have to be earning an income to
put money
be putting money in for your child.
Retirement.
So like for someone who's working 9 to 5, is there a way for them to get access to that as well?
Well, I would say you got to be creative.
Start an LLC.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a business. Listen, in case the IRS
feds are listening.
I'm telling you straight up, pay your taxes and pay it on time. Yes. Don't you ever run.
We endorse this message.
Right? Yes, exactly. Right. But I think that, again, ultimately, as I started prepping to teach the course, because my biggest fear was getting in front of these students and then somebody calling you out for something you don't know. Right. So I'm very comfortable saying, hey, I don't know that. I'm very comfortable. We bring subject matter experts all the time. But one of the biggest discoveries I had was taxes and tax strategy, and how all the wealthy people talk about tax and real estate and depreciation and all this stuff. And so going into it, you find out that most folks get extremely, extremely proactive when they're trying to find ways to save as much money as possible via strong tax strategy. So I guess that's my long-winded way of saying, if you have a 9 to 5, you should at least consider it. You should consult with a tax advisor or accountant and consider, are there any opportunities for you to keep money in your last name? Taxes are your biggest bill. And so if I can keep money in little bruh's names, I'm always going to do that, as opposed to giving it over to a pothole.
And there's other tax benefits, like your 529. You don't need to have a business to have to do, and that's a tax advantage. Also the HSA, right? Is it HSA? Yes, right. That's like tax. What does it stand for? Health savings account.
Yep.
Right. So like that's a really great tax benefits for the HSA, because I think you can put money into it, save taxes. You can pull money out, don't have to pay taxes, and then if you don't use it, I believe you can roll it over into like a retirement account, I believe. So there are other ways. Even if you never start a business, there are other tax advantage accounts. Maxing out your 401k or a traditional IRA, you'll save taxes now and then pay taxes later when you pull the money out. So, I mean, yes, starting a business is one of the best ways to navigate taxes. But even real estate, to your point about buying real estate and depreciating, when it comes to real estate, there's a way to save taxes. So
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, not everyone's built to start a business because it's not just so
Right.
simple as sign up a LLC. There's
Yeah.
taxes,
Yep.
there's
Fees,
staff, there's
filing.
HR, child.
It's
I
a
mean,
whole
Mandy
yeah.
knows. She's like, ah, I'm in the
How many
mix.
entities do you have, Brandon? So you went to Wharton Business School, is that right?
Yep.
So like when you set up your business, like as you were adding you had these nonprofits, like how many, is it all like Brandon Copeland Inc. at the top? Like how have you
So
structured it?
I have a holding company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then underneath that, I have the different businesses. And
Mm-hmm.
so for real estate, for example, I have certain businesses. There's certain properties that I have that are in their own LLCs that you just do to make sure that nobody can slip and fall at one
Mm-hmm.
house and then try to take everything,
Mm-hmm.
your whole life's work. So there's just a umbrella organization that is now structured out all of these different things, and I keep the nonprofit completely separate.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people who would probably tell me you put it underneath and there's benefits to that, but I just never want anybody ever even questioning what happens with the nonprofit money or think that that's to benefit me, because that's not the case at all.
What's your advisor stack? Like how many, when I say advisor
Yeah.
stack, I mean like how many, do you have accountants? You say your team,
Yep.
but who's managing your property stuff? Like just to give a breakdown and let a little bit behind the curtain of how
Yeah.
the
How we
sausage
do
gets
it.
made. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I went my first 9 years in the NFL with no financial advisor at all. And in year 10, I decided, I need to have somebody who's thinking about this all day, every day, the same way that I, at that time, thought about football or real estate or whatever. Right. And so now I have an accountant. I have a general financial advisor who is a generalist and can understand. He understands real estate. He understands venture capital. He understands all these things, and he doesn't have a skew on him of like, please invest your money in these things because
Mm-hmm.
I get commission or bonus off of that stuff. So that's kind of like my
We
overarching.
love a
Let's look at everything
fiduciary.
together.
Yes.
Fiduciary. We love a
Exactly.
fiduciary.
Certified financial planner. Good. Okay. Who else?
Exactly. And then I have a financial advisor that is with a brokerage firm that you've all probably heard of as well too. And they give me great advice and all that type of stuff. And what I do now is I set up quarterly financial meetings. Do I need quarterly? Probably not. But I do quarterly financial meetings because the reason why I said do I need quarterly? Probably not. Is because I have my own money anxiety that I am just always constantly looking, checking, reevaluating. My wife and I, we started last year doing our own family board meeting so that we
Good.
can be planning out what we want 2025 to look like. Because as you both know, as you continue to get older, you continue to get pulled in different directions. One, you may lose sight of the vision and the dreams that you set out for as a kid or that you want and have for yourself, because other people's brown ambitions are pulling you in their direction. So that's how my team looks. And then my wife, she's effectively our CFO. She actually works at Google and she manages their money and their books, and she's the CFO for a portion or the creative arm of Google. So if she can manage their stuff, she can
I
definitely manage ours.
mean, okay, you
Mhm.
married
Yeah,
well.
yeah. I sugar mama. That's why I knocked it up.
That's like Ross
And
Mack. It's funny because people be looking at him. I'm like,
yeah,
do you know who his wife is? Oh, okay.
right,
Do your
right.
Googles.
Exactly.
Okay.
Good. You better thank
I mean,
Risa. Thank Risa for them waves people rocking.
his wife is the they're well, remember Luster's, Pink Oil.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, Luster. So Ross Mack's wife is their family is the founder of Luster. So all the Luster's
Yeah.
products, so people look
Oh,
at
okay.
Ross like, oh, you a big deal. I'm like, not really.
He a
I mean,
nepo.
he
He a
is.
nepo baby husband.
Right. Behind every great woman, there's a little man named Ross McNally. I'm sorry, Ross. Don't call me brother. I love you, man. But yeah, and then also I'd be remiss. My brother has been key to me. One of the reasons why, I mean, Tiffany, we spoke about it before the show, but I got the amazing opportunity to work with Tiffany's sister Tracy for our book and the public relations around it and everything like that. And one of the reasons why I felt so strongly about that is because this was a sister duo. And I have a dynamic duo with my brother Chad, who's been my business partner since 2019. He's been my brother forever, obviously, but he's a younger brother by a couple years. But to have somebody who truly wants your best interest, that can also stand his own ground in all these rooms. You know, I've had a lot of people who say, like, you know, when a football player told me, man, I want you to speak to my brother, they're like, oh man, here we go. It's about to be like a movie, you know. But, you know, when he walks in the room, they kind of like, oh, okay, right. And they can see it. And so he's been also just extremely effective at managing the people that help bring these visions to life.
That's amazing.
Well, thank you for the transparency. This was a really great conversation. I enjoyed it.
I appreciate
I know the
y'all.
guys are finally like, finally!
Some
the
testosterone.
three guys that listen. See, we be having y'all back sometimes.
And now they know about the placenta bag. So
I don't even know how you found a way to talk about that. You must have come into the show wanting to.
It's only been a month, Mandy.
All she said was belly button. You.
It's still fresh in his mind. It's like that placenta bag.
Can never unsee it. So you never had a cat when you were a kid? Never watched your cat give birth on your mom's bed and ate her placenta? That was me. That was my villain origin story.
Oh wow, yeah, you knew. I never knew all that.
Well, I mean, good luck with the mustard poop stage of newborn life. Sometimes I make a sandwich and it brings me right back to that.
The pellet stage.
When's the pellet? Oh, when they start solids?
Yes.
It's more like a river, like a thick, muddy river, you know? Yeah. Oh, man.
It's
and you're
now when it doesn't smell as much, you know what I'm saying?
I didn't think it did either. People thought I was crazy when I said that. I'm like, it doesn't smell that bad.
This phase is all good, you know, right now. I mean,
does your 5-year-old wipe his own butt, though?
Yeah. I try to get these
trustworthy about it, though? Like, do you check? Do you trust him?
No, my 5-year-old is pretty incredible, I will say. But
okay.
Yeah, he's trustworthy. My 3-year-old, he's the one you gotta watch. I got a video of my 3-year-old where I put him. He's 2.5. I put him on the toilet. I haven't posted this because I try not to scar and embarrass his tail. But I put him on the toilet and little seat and all that stuff, and I walk out of the bathroom, and I come back, and he's sitting on the seat, and his poop on the ground, and I'm just like.
Man, he said not in this toilet, but here's fine.
I'm like, what the? And then he just sit there and look at me and smile. I'm like, oh,
it's that second shot. See, I'm kid number 2. They take you for the loop, loop.
Yeah, they know. They like, I'm gonna push every button.
But if people want to find one, where can they find Money Playbook?
Yep. If they go to BrandonCopeland.com, they can find all information on me. They can find your Money Playbook. They can find the class if they want to. And then they can also connect with me if they want to talk further. So www.BrandonCopeland.com, on socials, BCope51, BCOPE51.
We'll put it all in the show notes, BA fam. Brandon Copeland, so much fun talking to you.
Yeah. Do you have your book with you? Can you hold it up for us?
It's right there.
No, well, you know, it's like you know how it is with the little.
Oh yeah.
Yes. That's a dope cover. I love to go into Barnes and Nobles and see how many books now don't just have white men's faces on it.
Who is your publisher?
Ben Bella. Ben Bella, and they do stuff through Penguin.
Okay, it's one of their what is that thing called, Mandy? It's like Penguin is a book publisher, then
Imprint.
Imprint. Okay.
An Imprint.
Awesome.
That is exciting. Do you feel that accomplishment in your hand? Like, you're just someone who collects accolades and achievements, but does it feel like you achieved something? That's a whole person's dream right in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yes, I will say yes, it does. I don't want to sound ungrateful or anything like that. This is amazing. I think what's more rewarding is when people talk about how they've used it or what they've gotten from it. This is really cool. You know, like you said, I have a few awards, I will say, and God has been good. This is cool because this is one of those things, like being a professor, that I would have never, ever thought I'd be doing. When y'all saw me in detention, you know, growing up and all that stuff, you're like, not this guy, right? And so to be able to be doing things like this, this is pretty incredible. So
that's incredible.
Tip was a troublemaker too.
I was a troublemaker. It was, a Nigerian troublemaker, which means, talking back. Well, not talking back, but talking a lot and getting C's. That's a Nigerian trouble because you were not allowed to do too much. It's like, oh, no. You want to live, right? Oh, okay. It's no sex, drugs, rock and roll up in here. But it was just like, a C.
Oh, yeah.
No,
All
we're
right,
so
Dad
glad that we had
gang.
you. Yes.
Go take a nap or go, I don't know, just let your wife take a nap or something.
Yes.
Yeah, I try. Well, yeah, I appreciate y'all.
Good
First and
luck.
foremost, I really also wanted to say thank you for having me, because I've been following you guys for a long time. I've been listening to the show. I actually literally genuinely have been listening to the show as
Oh,
well
thank
too.
you.
So again, appreciate you guys for having me and taking the time, and also thank you for a dope conversation as well too. Who would ever
Yeah.
thought we could talk about 401ks, placenta bags, and belly buttons?
That is
being
what
on
Brown
the
Ambition is.
It's the only
hats,
Brown Ambition.
Yeah.
We
So
did it,
shout out to
y'all.
y'all.
Thank you, Brandon.
All right. Bye,
All right,
Brandon.
y'all.
Let's just make sure